What are the potential side effects of using TB-500? While peptides are very exciting, they do come with some unwanted side effects, and I'm going to show you how to avoid them. In this video, I'll share with you a case study from a 47-year-old client who came into our practice wanting to use TB-500 to repair himself from a rotator cuff surgery, and I'll show you exactly what happened and what went wrong. By the end of this video, you'll know how to avoid these potential side effects. Not only that, but you'll also know exactly how to stack peptides in the right way so that you have benefits that you never thought possible. So the most common side effects that you'll see from TB-500 or Thymosin beta-4 is lethargy and fatigue. Some people, when they start using these thymulin peptides, and it can be Thymosin beta-4, it can be Panilion, it can even be Thymosin alpha-1 or ABP7, they'll notice that there's a little bit of lethargy and almost like a flu-like symptom. And it goes away pretty often, but that is the most reported side effect that we hear about. The other side effect will happen if you're injecting in the same site day after day. Your body just starts to become really resilient, and it doesn't like that peptide being injected so many times in the same area of the body. All right, so what happened is we had a 47-year-old patient, and he had just received a rotator cuff surgery, and he got TB-500 so that he could accelerate the healing. But what happened is about 2 weeks into the therapy, not only was he not improving, but he felt like he was getting worse. And upon investigation, we realized that he purchased this peptide from a non-compounding pharmacy, and he was injecting it into the right place, but we recommended we run a comprehensive blood panel, which we do for every client who seeks care with us at East West Health. And so as we ran his panel, what we realized is he had these inflammatory markers that were really elevated. His homocysteine levels were high. His C-reactive protein was also high, which is not that uncommon post-surgery, but the thing that caused the imbalance and the concern is his eosinophils were up. So it was almost like his immune system was sensing that there's a new protein in his body, and it didn't really like it. So we did two things. The first thing we did is we said, well, Thymosin beta-4 or TB-500, this can be a really great adjunct for your healing. Let's get it from a different pharmacy, a different source. But not only that, let's stack it with BPC-157. And if you guys haven't seen my video on the Wolverine stack, I'll show you exactly how Hugh Jackman got so jacked for the Wolverine role that he played. Watch that video, I'll provide a link in the show notes. But the other thing we did is we put some growth hormone peptide. We used hexarelin and CJC-1295 with ipamorelin. And what happened is he started stacking these peptides is his immune system had a much better response to it. He lost the rash, he was getting a rash around the injection site, but he also noticed that his energy started to improve, which is what we would expect when you're using something like TB-500. But I do believe that the way that the proteins were structured may have created this little bit of an immune reaction to them. I don't think that anything was contaminated. That can be one of the risks of using a peptide like TB-500. But I do believe that because the sequencing wasn't natural, it wasn't sequenced in the way that the body makes these peptides, maybe that created some of the immune response. We don't know 100%, but here's what happened. As we started taking him through therapies, and we actually had him using the shockwave treatment, we did some ozone, PRP for him in his shoulder, and then eventually we got his shoulder about 30 days in. We were able to do stem cells around the area that had been operated on. He started making a dramatic improvement. Not only did he have better range of motion, but 60 days after he started working with us, so this was about 90 days after his surgery, he was able to regain full range of motion. He was able to start doing some light lifting. He was regaining a lot of his strength, and he recovered when he went back to his orthopedist. The orthopedist said he had shrunk in the time in which most people take in half. And so he was 100% ahead of schedule as far as his recovery went. But the important thing that I learned from that is if you're using peptides like TB-500 or BPC or MOD-SC or any of these phenomenal medicines, if you're not running your labs first, that can be a risk, because what we realize is when you've got that much inflammation, TB-500 may not be the only peptide that you want to use. And also when you've had the amount of damage that he had on his body, we also realized we had to get some detoxification pathways open because he'd taken painkillers for a few days, so his bowels were backed up. He also wasn't drinking fluids, so we started working on hydration. We got him where he could actually get outside every morning and just move his body and breathe. We got him doing exercises that didn't aggravate his rotator cuff. It was just kind of the core lifestyle things that were missing. I mean, we got great nutrition in his body, and using some of the Cellcore products, we had him on these binders to open up his liver, his kidneys, his lymphatic system. He not only had a better experience physically, but emotionally and mentally, he felt a lot clearer. And I think this is the important thing, because a lot of us, we do have well intentions when it comes to helping our bodies heal with peptides, but some of the side effects, they can go unnoticed. And it's not like you're going to see these on the biohacking forums, because most people, frankly, they just don't have side effects from peptides. But when you do have a side effect, especially if he would have kept going on that TB-500, what you may have seen is his immune system completely rejecting this protein, and then he can be in a situation where he's got anaphylaxis, which is where your body just goes into a complete allergy to this molecule. So fortunately, we were able to shift up the protein structure, we were able to stack it with new peptides, and then get his detoxification system open. So one of the studies that I'll reference actually displays exactly how this process works. So one of the studies, if you look at thymosin beta-4, you're going to see just how powerful this peptide is. And for those of you who don't know the difference between TB-500 and thymosin beta-4 or TB4, thymosin beta-4 is the natural peptide that's made by your thymus gland, and it naturally exists in your body. It's the first peptide that's called into action when you have a cut. And so I'm a member of the International Peptide Society, and have the great fortune of studying with some of the greats like Dr. Seeds, Kent Holtorf, Ryan Smith. And one of the things that they did is they analyzed all the data on thymosin beta-4. So let's talk about some of these great benefits of thymosin beta-4. Now, this study, it was published in the New York Academy of Sciences, and what it's called is Thymosin beta-4, Structure, Function, and Biological Properties Supporting Current and Future Applications. And as they looked at the mechanism of action, what they find is that TB4 promotes cell migration and adhesion dynamics. So the patient who had the shoulder surgery, he was on the right track. That was the right treatment. But he got a fragment of it, and maybe the fragment was the thing that caused the immune reaction. We don't fully know. But the fact that it helps with cell migration, that means he had better healing capabilities and potential in his shoulder. And then the adhesion dynamics, what that means is it blocks this protein, it binds to this protein called G-actin, and that G-actin keeps you from building up excessive amounts of scar tissue, so that he had better range of motion. They also found that TB4 prevents apoptosis, promotes cell survival, and tissue regeneration. So once again, these are all really important properties for recovering from a surgery. The studies also found it reduces inflammation, induces influx and adhesion of inflammatory cells. So you get this out cycle of these inflammatory cells, so that your tissue is actually in a renewed state. If the inflammation just sticks there for too long, that tissue has a hard time healing. So not all inflammation is bad inflammation. This was some of the good inflammation that was necessary. It helped move it through. They found that in the clinical studies, it helped with dermal wound healing, so when you have wounds on the tissue. They also found that it didn't have any toxicology evidence. So there's nothing that showed that it was toxic and very safe for use in men. And this was kind of a big breakthrough. And I don't think there was any toxicology in this one. I think it was the proteins that his immune system reacted to. One of the studies, they found that it helped with corneal wound healing and repair. And that's what we've seen. You can take thymosin beta-4 eye drops and they feel really good, and you can use it in your eyes if you've had any kind of wound or any kind of adhesion in your eye. Or we've seen patients use it who have glaucoma or macular degeneration, and it's been a very effective treatment. So all these studies, they found that it worked on the cardiac system. It worked on the nervous system. It also worked on the pulmonary system. Specifically, they've done studies on patients who had MS. It's an autoimmune condition where the myelin sheath on the nerves start to get degenerated, and they found that TB4 improved neurological function and recovery. They found in rats that had ischemic strokes, they used TB4, and they found that it improved some of that ischemic tissue that was damaged from the stroke. They found with spinal cord injury, that spinal cord injuries, it impacts millions of people, and by using TB4, they were able to have a greater recovery in the area where the nerves were damaged. And then they looked at another study with disc degeneration, specifically in the lumbar disc or the lower back. They found that thymosin beta-4 significantly reduced disc cell apoptosis. So what that suggests is that it allowed these cells to actually turn into regenerative cells instead of just cells that are dying. They found it in sepsis and endotoxic shock, that the thymosin beta-4 helps stabilize the immune system. So if you look at the dynamics of thymosin beta-4, they're phenomenal. They're far-reaching, and there's things that you can access right away. You just want to make sure that you're getting it from a compounding pharmacy, work with your doctor, and make sure that you've got the right labs ran. For those of you who love this video and you want to see if thymosin beta-4 might be right for you, go to agelessfuture.com, and I've got a form that you can fill out, and we'll send you a free copy of my book, a PDF version of the Peptide Blueprint, and we'll send you a bunch of other goodies. And if you love this video, please share it with your friends, your family, your loved ones, because my job is to help you get healthy before you get sick. And I'll see you on the next video.